Hey Carly,
Hi Andy.
how did we get stuck on the same movie set?
Don't know.
What do you know?
To send this video to all your friends. Elena. I looked up with a jolt to see my friend sitting down across from me at the lunch table. Hi, I said back. Catherine picked up her Coke and started messing with the tab on the lid. Mary was the only one to actually start eating her lunch. Oh, and before we go any further, I might want to add that I tend to tune people out sometimes, so I just sum up what they say. So anyway, back to the story. Mary started asking where Chris was. He was later than usual to eat lunch with us. I asked Catherine if she saw him last period or anything. This is really weird because he is never late to sit with us. Oh well. Catherine started to talk about her math test coming up. Mary started talking about Stacy's boyfriend of the week, which was no surprise. Just as I was about to say something, Chris sat down. Chris and I have been friends since middle school. Over the years I sort of developed a crush on him, and why not? With his blue eyes and dark brown hair. He met me at the football game when he sat next to me. We had gotten talking and found out that we had a lot in common. Like movies and books and games. He had started talking about the game this Friday. We were supposed to go against our rivals. Embarrassing as it is, I don't know who they are, and they are our enemies. Catherine had been going on about a TV show from last night that only she had managed to watch on time. Mary was staring at Stacy's new boyfriend, and I thought, oh no. I asked her if she had a crush on him, and she said that she was going to ask him out, but as she had walked to him, Stacy kissed him. I told her that she should give up on him, but she told me that she wouldn't. Chris was now talking to Catherine about the math test. They asked me what I had made on it, but I told them I had to take it at 11:30. They stared at me in shock, and I asked them what it was. They told me that it was 12:10. And with that I sprinted out of the lunchroom and down the hall. I had to run to the other side of the school to take the test. This is just great, I thought. I am 40 minutes late plus running time. As I ran, I bumped into the principal and got detention. I looked at my watch, it said 12:20. I had to keep running, but then I fell over out of breath, my stomach hurting. You see, I have a rare medical disorder that means my stomach will always be messed up. It also means that I can't wear a bikini. I got back up and ran to the bathroom to throw up. I started running towards the classroom. When I finally got there, I was an hour late. The teacher then gave me my test and I began to work. The test was rather easy, so I got it done quickly. After I finished, I rode the bus home. I leave at lunch. The ride wasn't very long. As it pulled up to my house, I got up and ran inside. I saw someone sitting on the couch and screamed. It was one of those girl screams. I asked him who he was, and he stood up and introduced himself as David. He told me that he knows Chris. I asked him to leave, and he said that I should look deeper into Chris. I asked him what that meant, but he just left. I then started looking into the old yearbooks. It looked as if he hadn't gotten much older through middle school. That frightened me into looking online and found all this info. It was weird that he moved here a few years ago with no background. I started looking deeper and found his old address. It was in Mississippi. But the weird part was that he looked the same age as now. There were some accidents there after he moved here in Huntsville, Alabama. I think that he might be a vampire. I decided to confront him tomorrow after school. As I waited for him to come to my house, I was a little bit frightened. I mean, I don't even know if he will hurt me or not. The doorbell frightened me when he came. I answered it and he asked me what was wrong. I told him that I knew. He tried to act like I was crazy or something, but I tossed him the printed picture of himself from 5 years ago. He admitted to being a vampire and waited for my response. I must have passed out or something, because next thing I knew he was holding me up looking worried. I stood up and looked around. He asked me if he has permission to read my mind. I said no and asked him why he was asking me first. He said that a vampire needed permission first. I asked him about entering homes and he said that they had the mind and home backwards. I then asked him about coffins and steaks. He said no. I asked him how you kill a vampire and he said acid. I asked him how you turn someone into a vampire, and he said that they have to give you venom. I asked how that was different from sucking blood, and he said it has to be purposeful. He then explained that they control whether they suck or inject. I was getting majorly freaked out but tried to ignore it. I asked him about running water and he said no. Speed and strength, yes. Powers, no. He then asked me how I knew, so I told him about the yearbook and research. He told me that he had to go and not to tell anybody. I told him that I wouldn't tell anyone. I then told him that I had a crush on him and that I had it for a while. He told me that he had had a crush on me for a while. I then asked him how old he was and he told me 15. I then kissed him on the mouth, assuming that if he didn't want me to he would let me know. The kiss seemed to linger for a few minutes before it ended. He then said goodnight. I was sure to deadbolt the door behind him. I couldn't be too safe with things going bump in the night. I then got ready for bed and shut off the lights. I had a dreamless sleep. I usually don't have dreams like that, so I got worried. The next day at school was Friday, so I threw on my favorite top. I hopped on the bus and sat next to Chris. He was in a surprisingly good mood. It might have something to do with that we are going out now. We talked about the game and he asked me if I was going with him. I told him that I was and that I was going to meet him there tonight. He then put his arm around my shoulders.
What was that?
The first chapter of her book.
Sub and send this video to all your friends.